Welcome back to these tutorials. So today I want to get started on some groundwork for discussing in detail some more ways that our blueprint classes can talk to each other. The particular classes we want to talk to each other though are going to be our character and a weapon. So to do that, I just want to get some groundwork in. And also, we'll discuss static meshes and adding free content from the Epic Games Store into our project. Open up the Epic Games Store, head over to the Unreal tab, under Marketplace, search for the Military Weapons Dark Pack. This is the pack that I'll be using. There's also a silver pack as well, or a different color scheme pack. I forget exactly what it's called. But this pack is what we're going to be using for the meantime. I haven't gotten into 3D animation, so I can't create my own weapons. But this will be absolutely fine for whether you want to use this all the way until your final game, or whether you want to just have a placeholder so you can get an idea of how things are working. So if you've already got it, it should appear in your library. Over here, you can see Military Weapons Dark. And to add it to a project, all we have to do is, you guessed it, click Add to Project. Sometimes your project won't appear, so just hit Show All Projects, and there it is. Tutorial FPS is where we want to add this. So you can see here, it's not compatible with Unreal Engine 4.24, which is fine. All we have to do is go down here and click on 4.21. I'm currently using this weapon pack in my own project, which is 4.24. And I haven't had any issues with it. So click Add to Project, and that's going to download the weapon pack, cache it onto our hard drive in case we want to use it again, and add it to our game project. And there it is. Now in future, if you picked an asset pack you didn't like, I showed this in the first video, but I'll show it again. You can just click the drop down menu and hit Remove Local Content, and that'll remove the cache. It won't remove it from your project though. You will have to remove it from the project itself. So now if we come back down here, we can see Military Wep Dark or Weapon Dark is imported and we're ready to go. One thing I like to do is put all my imports in a subfolder, just because if I'm dealing with, 20 imports, I don't want my folder structure to be huge. So click on Content, right click, new folder. We're going to call this Imports. Let's drag Weapon Dark onto Imports, and we're going to move here. It's now in our imports folder, and we don't have to worry about having 100 folders in our primary folder structure. So now that we have that, let's have a look at what's in here. This is one of my favorite pieces of content on the Epic Games Store, because it's not just a bunch of weapons, as we can see here. These are the meshes themselves. These are the skeleton assets. We have physics assets. Basically, anything you could possibly want to do with a weapon is here, including bullets, which we'll get to much later. We'll talk about most of this stuff in detail later on down the track, but for now, we want to get our weapons underway. And the reason that we can skip straight to this part is because so much work has gone into this pack. It's not just the weapons though. If I click on sounds, we actually have sound effects attached. Not just for shooting, but here we have a rifle cue. Reloading, raising, lowering, basically any sound effect you could possibly want. It's a really extensive pack, which is why I love using it. It's up to us to code all of this in though. It's all good to have these in our folder structure, but it's up to us to make the weapon itself and make it all come together. But these are all the building blocks. Everything's cut out for us. All we have to do is make something of it. Hop up to Blueprints and click on your weapons folder. These are the blueprint classes that we created in a previous video. We're going to have a quick look at weapon base here. And we know that back over here in our folder, you don't have to follow me here, I'm just showing you. We know that these these are the weapons we're going to use. We know that they're skeletal meshes, not static meshes, meaning that they have moving parts inside of them. They actually have bones attached to them, quite similar to how our character will eventually have bones so it can move. These have moving parts, thus they have bones, thus they are a skeletal mesh as opposed to a static mesh, which, it's in the name, static. That means we're going to need a skeletal mesh for every single weapon. Well, guess what? We only have to add that skeletal mesh once because we have a parent class. So we're going to click Add Component, and we're going to come down to Skeletal Mesh. If we have an asset already selected in the content browser, then it's automatically going to populate that. But we don't want to do that. I'm going to click off that because the base weapon skeletal mesh is going to be empty. This is just going to be something for us to fill in because it's going to replicate across all of its children. So click on skeletal mesh. Attached to scene root is absolutely fine. Compile and save. And we'll pop back over here to test. Back over to the blueprints folder, clicking on weapons. And now if I go into the assault rifle and open the full blueprint editor, there's my skeletal mesh. So all I have to do now is fill it in. This and any component that you add to the weapon base will be replicated in each of its children. I'm going to click on the viewport so you can see it. Our skeletal mesh currently has nothing in it, so it's empty. This sphere is just our scene. So what we're going to do is click on the drop down, and now we're given an option to select any of the skeletal meshes. Unreal Engine also sorts out what you can and can't put into a field. So if we had 100,000 skeletal meshes, it would give us the option to put any of them in. Luckily, the only skeletal meshes we have right now are the weapons, making it very easy to pick. This is the assault rifle, and now the assault rifle is part of this blueprint. I'm going to compile and save and close out the assault rifle. I'm going to move over to pistol, open full blueprint editor, click on skeletal mesh, click on the drop down, select pistol, compile, save, selecting the viewport so I can see that pistol. And now we're going to close out. We can also close the weapon base. Over to the shotgun, you get the idea. You could skip ahead if you wanted, but just for those of you who like repetitiveness so it gets in your head, or who just enjoy following along, we're going to click shotgun in skeletal mesh under the shotgun blueprint. Clicking on the viewport. There it is. Compile, save. There we go. Sniper rifle. Open full blueprint editor, skeletal mesh, click the drop down, select the sniper rifle, click on viewport, check on the asset. There it is. And they are some fine looking assets, I might add. And then back over to test, rocket launcher, open full blueprint editor, skeletal mesh, drop down. There's a grenade launcher here, which I may do a video on later on. I haven't added one to my own project yet, but I understand how to do it. I just didn't feel like having a grenade launcher yet. So we want rocket launcher, viewport, have a look at it, compile, save. We can close these out. Next up, we're going to talk about how these weapons are going to talk to our character, or more importantly, how our character is going to talk to these weapons. So more blueprint communication, but this communication is going to happen directly in the character. These weapons need to function separated from the character, and they need to function when attached to the character. Separate from the character is easy enough, but we're going to focus on attached to the character for now. Click on core, open up hero. Later on down the line, I'm going to have 2 weapon slots. Our character will be able to carry 2 weapons at a time. We'll have to mix and match, swap those weapons. Again, loosely based off Halo. For now though, we're going to just deal with 1 weapon, which is whatever weapon we have equipped. So to do that, we're going to add a component, and that component is going to be a child actor. Now, this is a very similar instance of a child actor in that it is technically attached to a parent or has some relationship to another blueprint class, which it would consider a parent. However, this is more of a physical relationship inside the world as opposed to a somewhat DNA relationship that we'll have between classes. So this is a child actor as opposed to a child class. It'll make more sense as we go on though. So type in child actor, and we want this child actor to be equipped weapon. To start with, let's equip our assault rifle. If I type in weapon here, there are all our weapons because our naming structure was on point. So let's select assault rifle. Now it's facing the wrong way, and we know that all of our weapons will be facing the wrong way because this is based off a parent class, which means that all we have to do is change the parent class instead of changing every individual weapon. If you had 1,000 guns, instead of changing the rotation of 1,000 guns, you can change the rotation of their parent class and you're done. That's it. You just saved yourself a lot of work. Let's hop over into weapon base, and with skeletal mesh selected, click on the Z rotation and hit -90 and hit enter. We can't see anything here because again, we have nothing on our skeletal mesh. You could have a placeholder in your base weapon, but if I was to change the skeletal mesh here, it would overwrite all the children. So hit compile and save. Back over to the hero character, our weapon is facing the right way. And we'll hit compile and save there.